Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the BettingPros NFL podcast. I'm your host, Dan Harris. You can find me on Twitter at DanHarris80. With me, as he is every week, is Matt Perrault. You can find him on Twitter at Sports Talk Matt. Matt, what's going on?
Well, we are into that middle part of the year now. We got to get our butts in gear this week, Dan.
Oh, God, that last week, beats happen. Both ways, you get lucky sometimes, but we turned a 4-1 week into a 2-3 week in a way that was just killer with the Browns missing the extra point to win by 3. We had them at laying 3.5, and the Seahawks just basically doing I'm glad they lost that game. I'm glad because
Me too.
They should have covered the 3.5 point spread, but we'll get into all of that. There are some games that we both like, although we have not talked about it as we did last week. We decided to, no leans even beforehand. We're going to be fresh when we get into this. Hopefully we are on the same side of games because we are not always. A couple of things before we get into the Week 8 slate. Number one, Discord. If you listen to the Daily Juice, which you should, you have probably heard about this. You may be in it already. Last I checked, we had, over 650 people in there already. It's like a chat. Okay, you come in, there are different channels, talk about whatever you want. You can talk about any sport you want. Matt and I are in there popping in. We're talking, we're giving plays, things like that. But generally, it's just a community for other people who are on Betting Pros who want to talk about various things. That's at bettingpros.com/chat. You can join, no fee. You don't have to be a subscriber or anything like that. Second, our prop bet cheat sheet. By the way, Matt, that's what we're calling it now, just so you know, because I know, all right, that's the name we have settled on. Prop bet cheat sheet. That's at bettingpros.com/props. You can go there. That is going to compare consensus projections to props that are available in the market. And it gives you recommendations based on the delta between the consensus projections and the actual projections given out by the various sportsbook. Now, this has just launched, so we are still kind of, working through it, but it's a really interesting tool. You should go check it out. Again, bettingpros.com/props. As always, we are going to get into every game on this week's slate, but as we kind of did, let's recap last week very quickly. Matt and I went 2-3. 2 bad beats. We are now 19-16 on the season. 54.3%. Okay, now if you are a regular sports gambler, that's good. That you're beating what you want to do. But where we are in the DK Championship is not exactly where we want to be. We are, let me see what the number is. I can't find where we are exactly, but we are somewhere in the high 200s of the 691. So we're in the top half, but we've got a long way to go. Now, the people who are cashing are, I think, only 2 games. I think they might be between 2 and 3 games ahead of us, Matt, but it's mostly people who have already taken a bye. So their percentage is kind of in between 2 and 3 games ahead. So Matt, we have not buried ourselves by any means, but we've got to get going with a 4-1 week or a 5-1 week. So last week, we just had the wrong side on that Pats game against the 49ers. Completely wrong side. Missed on that one. And we lost on the Browns laying 3.5 to the Bengals on the missed extra point. And we lost on the Seahawks laying 3.5 to the Cardinals on about 8 different ways that the Seahawks could cover that game. Now, we did win on one of the games that we both really like to start, the Panthers getting 7.5 from the Saints. And we also said that we were not going to change based on our picks unless something happened. Well, we decided, because we are liars, essentially, to get off the Packers laying 3.5 to the Texans, which is a game that Matt didn't love at the time that we picked it. He was initially on the other side. But we decided to get off that because Aaron Jones was not going to play. And Matt came around to what my top pick was, which was the Bucs laying 2.5 to the Raiders, which hit anyway. So a distinction without a difference. So anyway, I've got it now. 293rd out of 689. So we need a big week here, Matt. Are you ready? Are you ready? You feel good?
I am. I'm still reeling from your vocabulary. The Delta? Wow. You're dropping big words here, my friend.
Yes, correct. I read words.
Is this a betting podcast or a thesaurus? Yikes.
I speak words good. All right. So let's get into it, Matt. Who is your number one picker? Man, I'm so nervous because I'm so terrified because I have like 5 games that I'm like, all right, I can deal with these games. I'm terrified we're going to be on the wrong side. So go ahead and start us off.
Welcome to weather, guys.
Yes.
This is the point of the year where you must be and you should be literally before you put a single dollar down on any bet. You have to look at the weather forecast.
Mm-hmm.
The worst weather game of the weekend is going to be in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yep.
We're having 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. We're having cold temperatures. You might say, wow, that's a bad deal for the team from Las Vegas. No. This is a run team. This is a power football team. This is a nasty football team, and they dink and dunk with the best of them. They don't throw deep at all. Baker Mayfield does not have Odell Beckham Jr. I'm catching 2.5 points from the Raiders. Raiders will win this game outright. Raiders plus 2.5 is my top pick of the week.
Okay, so first of all, I saw you tweeting with, I think, Kevin Roth. Is that right?
Correct.
Right. Yes. He, by the way, is if you play daily fantasy sports, if you bet on sports, he's a great follow because he's great with the weather. And yeah, there are, I think, 3 games where wind, and you and I talk a lot about it. It's like the one thing that you're worried about when it comes to sports gambling is wind with football. That's a big difference. I'm going to go ahead and write this one in, Matt, because I'm on that side as well. It doesn't even without the weather, Matt, I think this is a spot for the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders, I think, are a couple things. Number one, they're a better team than I think the public gives them credit for. Because I think, right, they have a stigma of what they were kind of last year. And just generally speaking, they're not a bad team. Their defense, not great as of right now, but they had a lot of injuries last week. They had the whole offensive line thing preventing them from practicing, which is why the Bucs I thought were an easy play. And the Bucs are a really, really good team. I get that they're coming, to it's a cross country play here, but for me, I think they're going to win the game outright as well. I think this is a little bit. I think the Browns could be better without Odell Beckham Jr. talk is silly. Like, I think that, I don't like it. So even without the weather, I like the Raiders here as well, because I do think that this is just a game that they're going to be able to, generally speaking, keep tight. And I have confidence in them being able to pull it out in the end. I'd like it a little more if I could get over 3.
Correct,
over hook, but I do think they're going to pull it out regardless of the win. So I'm going to write that one in. It was my 4th pick for this week in terms of confidence. So I like it. So Raiders getting 2.5. There's a good start. Good start. We like the first one.
Okay.
Let me just check, because I think let me check what our bet analyzer says about it against the spread. And it looks like it is pretty split. I've got 61% of our experts are taking the Raiders at 2.5. So it has not moved from there. I was wondering whether or not the spread was going to move, but at 2.5, we've got 61% behind us. So that's always a good sign. All right. This one, I'm really interested, Matt, in what you think of this one, because I'm looking at our bet analyzer and it's actually one of the more heavily picked games right now the other way.
Okay.
But for me, I know it's a divisional game. I know one of the teams is undefeated, but I've got the Ravens coming off a bye here, and I feel really good that this is finally the spot to sell the Steelers. Remember last year, I think it was last year, when they destroyed your Patriots? I think that was them coming off a bye.
Correct.
And that was when and the Pats were undefeated, I think, at that point. And you were like, what's going to happen here? And I remember I took the Ravens then. I liked them then. I think having off bye, I think Lamar Jackson has been limited by this knee injury. I think giving him a week to sort of get better is good. I actually think Mark Ingram out is probably better for this team, because I think it means more J.K. Dobbins, and I think that is very good for this team to go forward, because I just think that Dobbins at this point is more explosive. He's going to get more involved in the passing game. I think this is really when the Ravens are going to show who's boss right now. I think the loss of Devin Bush, by the way, especially in the running game here, it's going to hurt the Steelers. It's finally going to show itself. Again, they came out like a house on fire last week, but then you saw the Titans just basically dominated the rest of that game. So for me, I don't love the hook more than, 3, but I think the Ravens are going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it handily.
So you can't see because we're not actually looking at each other as we tape video,
right?
But I've been nodding my head the entire time.
Okay.
So this is my 3rd play. So
Wonderful.
Put it in pen. And I agree with every point you made. I think this is, if you are a Daily Juice listener, I talked about this game when I gave out the Pittsburgh Steelers to win the division, because I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win the North, but they're going to lose this game here against the Ravens. I think they're going to split home and road, home and home, basically. I think Pittsburgh wins in Pittsburgh. I think Baltimore wins in Baltimore.
Yep.
I think that Jackson has been held back, and they've been keeping him in check. Their play calling keeping him in check due to the knee injury, basically leading up to this game. This is time to let Lamar Jackson go. And I just think this defense is going to be able to shut down this offense for Pittsburgh. Look, I like the Pittsburgh offense. I just don't think it's as explosive as everybody thinks it is. And I mean, Claypool's come out of kind of nowhere here and become this incredible weapon. So, I mean, Harbaugh's off of a bye. I believe the number is 9-3 against the spread off of a bye.
Correct. That's right.
Okay, it's something really stupid that him with extra time is like Belichick with extra time. It's just, and the first line was 6, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it was Baltimore -6. All the money came in. This is the black and blue division. This is always a 3-point game one way or the other. I know the hook there stinks. It's a little bit dicey for that one reason. If I bet it, when I do bet it, I'm probably going to buy the half a point because I think 3 is a much better number. It's the most expensive thing to do at a sports book is to buy it from 3.5 to 3. It's probably -140 to go ahead and do it, but I think it's worth it. I'll play it in the contest. I'll lay the 3.5 with money. I'll lay 3, but I like the Ravens too.
Yeah, and again, these teams play close. That is what they do. So I get when you see anything over a field goal, it makes you nervous either way. But I really think that they're going to come out, and this is going to be their spot. They are going to come out and they're going to be like, "Oh, do you think that this is going to be your division right now? We're going to show it off a bye." I really liked it. When I first looked at the game, I'm not going to lie, my first instinct was like, "Ooh," because I was on the Steelers last week, man. I like them. You like the Titans. I leaned towards the Steelers last week.
But you realize that Gostkowski is why that game didn't go to overtime.
That is that. So, well,
my hatred of Gostkowski has just quadrupled.
And he is the poster boy for your anger in this betting season. That game actually made me like the Steelers a little less. Like, I mean, their offense, of course, you've got the 3 wide receivers, but Ben doesn't look, intimidating right now with where he is. He just kind of.
I think that's why when you saw the reaction of Roethlisberger when the missed kick happened, I think he knew in overtime they were going to lose.
Yeah,
I think he knew everything was going against them. The momentum, everything was going to the Titans. All you needed was Gostkowski to make that 48-yard kick, which he does not. So, and that gave the game to the Steelers. So I think this is a paper tiger 6-0 Steelers team, and I think they get their first loss.
I love it. All right, so this is weird, but we are in agreement on our first 2. Go to your next one.
All right, 1 and 3 are off the board for me already here on my list. Number 2 is, look, I get why people are going to go, Matt, the number stinks, and you don't know what Tua is going to do. But I got a rookie quarterback going up against Aaron Donald. I'm going to bet, I don't care where this game is being played, on the moon, it doesn't matter to me. Rams -4.5 against Tua Tagovailoa. Given that defense with 1 touchdown being given up in the second half, that offensive line's not good for Miami. Fitzpatrick got the football out fast. Tua's not going to do that. He's accurate, but he's not going to be able to read defenses the way that Fitzpatrick can read defenses. He's not going to have any time. He's going to have Aaron Donald in his lap the entire time, and they don't want him to run because he's brittle. So he can't even use his legs in his first start because he'll get hit and break. So to me, look, I like the Rams a lot more than most people do. I know it's on the road. I like the Rams to win this game by 7, and they may win it by even more. Maybe a complete blowout here. I know it's a trap game because they've got a big game coming up next week back at home. So people are saying, "Oh, they're going to overlook the Dolphins." Okay, they might.
No, they have a bye, Matt.
Oh, but they have after the bye, they've got a game against
Seattle.
So it's a big divisional game. But hey, okay, fine. Maybe going into a bye, maybe they want to stay in Miami and party. I don't know. But to me...
No, but sometimes going into a bye, by the way, like teams do look at that and just sort of are like, all right, we just got to, last one, we just got to get there, and their head is in the game. I get it. Go ahead.
So sometimes they can, or they can just say, let's just unload because we got a week off, so we don't worry about it. I'm taking this entire pick is on the Rams defense going up against a rookie quarterback, and I just think they're going to destroy Tua. It's going to be a bad game for Tua.
Okay. So I definitely am not. Basically, this was a game where I don't have a lean, mainly because are you confident, Matt? Like, how do we know what to expect from Tua in this game? Like, other than, of course, whatever you've seen from him in college.
Because they're being forced to play him. I don't think this was the plan. I think this was all because Dolphin fans are mad because Justin Herbert looks legitimate and they're worried they picked the wrong quarterback.
No. This had to have been the plan because they are doing so much better.
So you're telling me the plan was to start against Aaron Donald, the career of Tua Tagovailoa, Mr. Brittle? The plan was to have him start against the LA Rams?
I think the plan was to have him start after the bye. That's exactly what I think it was. I think they were going to, because otherwise, first of all, if you're a Dolphins fan right now, you can't be mad at what you got. They're in contention for the division. Fitzpatrick is playing well.
Right.
There's no, so you
They
can't
don't want to be there. They want to lose.
What? But why?
Because they don't want because Fitzpatrick is a guy that if he plays well, he could have a stake to the job. If he took
not long term, man.
At least for one more year if they go to the playoffs. I mean, that's the problem. They want to lose, and they want to see what they've got in Tua, and they've gotten tons of pressure because the number 1 pick has been great, and the number 6 pick has been great, and the number 5 pick hasn't played.
Okay, so just to make sure I fully understand this, your theory is that they are making this switch to Tua because Dolphins fans are outraged because of the fact that the other rookie quarterbacks look good.
Yes.
And they should be playing Tua.
Yes. And I believe that they know that Fitzpatrick is the short-term deal and they want to know what they've got. So they're going to go ahead because if they were actually planning on doing this, they didn't tell Fitzpatrick, which is basically malpractice.
Yeah.
So he didn't know. He was basically crying. He was so upset about it. My heart's broken. I've been benched before, but never like this. I mean,
that's why I think it was. I agree they didn't tell him, but I think that's why it was their plan. No matter how well he played, because he was playing as well as he was the good fits here for a couple of weeks, and they were legitimately in contention. I can't see. Well, anyway,
look, they've got a defense right now that's number 1 in the NFL in third down conversion. You get off. They get off the field like crazy right now in Miami. Their defense is hard to go up against. The 49ers couldn't do anything against their defense.
Yeah.
I just think that they believe that they have a playoff caliber team, and that's not really what they wanted to go ahead and do. So they say, all right, if we're going to go to the playoffs, let's play Tua because maybe we do have something here, and let's see what Tua can do. I just can't believe they're going up against one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL, and they're choosing to start him in this type of environment where their offensive line doesn't block very well. Okay, look, I could be dead wrong, but I'm telling you this. I'm going to say this. Ryan Fitzpatrick is back starting for this football team within 3 weeks.
Oh, my goodness. Your Dolphins takes are hot right now. All right. So here's the deal. I'm not going to take that one off the table. I'm not going to put it in yet because I don't have a good lean on the game, pardon me. But everything you're saying makes sense. 2 things make me nervous. One is, again, the cross-country trip to Miami on a short week makes me a little nervous. Number 2 is I don't like variables, Matt. Like I don't like it when there is somebody who I haven't like. I will tell you the truth. I thought Justin Herbert, if I knew that he was going to be starting early this year, I would have bet significant money that he would have been terrible. Because I did not think that he looked ready, and he's been
Hard Knocks
good.
proved it. He couldn't call a play. I mean, he couldn't take a snap under center. He couldn't take a snap under center at Hard Knocks. So, I mean, what they showed us was that might have been sandbagging there, but they showed us that he wasn't ready.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That I don't know what it's going to look like when these rookies get on the field for the first time. So I don't hate it. I'm not off it. And the consensus line is 3.5, but 71% of experts are on the Rams in this one. So that certainly, you're not alone in that. Although I will say, again, I said that the Steelers were the other way. 76% are on the Steelers getting 3.5. I'm totally fine to fade that.
Yep.
But I'm going to put that one in the maybe category because I don't hate it. I had that one in a bucket of Matt can convince me if we're sort of there. But I definitely don't hate it. And I think if I had to pick a side, it would be with the Rams. That's what I had. So we'll put that one in the maybe category. So not doing terrible. Okay, I'm interested to know how you feel about this game, and that is the Saints laying 4.5 to the Bears in Chicago. Now, there's going to be wind. This is one of the wind games, I believe. Is that right?
Correct.
This is one of the
worst weather games.
It's one of the worst weather games. I kind of feel, and I may be wrong, maybe it doesn't. I kind of feel, number one, it goes for the under, but Allen Robinson, I don't know if he's going to play right now. He has missed practice. He's in the concussion protocol. He has missed practice both days this week. If Allen Robinson doesn't play, who is getting the ball other than David Montgomery? I mean, is it Mooney? Is Anthony Miller going to play? Jimmy Graham? This Bears offense, and you saw it on Monday night, and that's why I liked the Rams giving 6, and I picked it on the BettingPros.com in the platform. The Bears can't move the ball, man, and the Saints can stop the run. They have a very solid run defense, so if they think they're just going to rely on Dave Montgomery, whether it's passing the ball to the running backs, whether it's running the ball, I don't really see it happening. And the good thing about the wind is that what can you do in the wind? You can run the ball, and you can kind of dink and dunk, and that is all the Saints do right now with Drew Brees is dink and dunk their way to putting up 35 points a game every single game. Michael Thomas, meanwhile, I'm not even expecting Michael Thomas or Emmanuel Sanders to play. I don't care but Michael Thomas has returned to practice right now.
Mm-hmm.
He may play. If he plays, I really like it at 4.5. Even if he doesn't, this is as much of a bet against the Bears right now as it is in favor of the Saints. So for me, I like the Saints laying 4.5 on the road in Chicago.
Yeah, I was really annoyed because I teased that game perfectly, and if the pick in the end zone, I needed 2 more points. They lost by 14. I teased it to 12. And it was so frustrating because the interception that Nick Foles threw in the end zone was awful. The one he threw on the sideline was awful. And then he had a wide open receiver at the end of the game where if he just put the ball out there, it was an easy walk-in touchdown. He's just awful. Okay. He's just straight up awful. Yeah. This will be a maybe for me.
Okay.
I very much prefer the Alvin Kamara prop bets on this game. Okay. so like that's where I'm going to be betting is Kamara like crazy. So I'm not going to bet this game, but I am going to bet that Kamara has a monster game having running and receiving yardage. This is his game. Okay.
Yeah.
And my only question is, do we see any snow? Do we see anything wet, any real wet? It's supposed to be wet, soggy, and windy. Okay. Which is a really nasty combination to play football in. So my initial thought when I started breaking down this game was to take the Bears at home getting 4.5 points.
Oh, interesting.
That was my initial
like the Bears in your initial lean.
But as I went through, looked at the injuries and I looked at the defense in the running, you're absolutely right about the Rams. Sorry, the Saints against the run.
Yeah.
They are very good stopping the run.
Yes.
They're not great through the air, but if there's wind and rain, you're not throwing the ball very much, and Nick Foles can't throw the ball anyway.
They can't pass anyway, man. Yeah. If Allen
Jimmy Graham Jimmy Graham looks like he's running in slow motion.
He's still a great red zone threat when you're at the end zone. Great, he can still sort of wrestle that ball away. But other than that, no. And again, Allen Robinson, he's a big deal right now. They have nobody else at wide. Ted Ginn still plays football, and he'll get more work and they can't push it deep. They just can't in that weather. This just strikes me. And again, this is more of a spot where you sort of typically would be thinking about the Bears. They're favored by 4.5 at home. They're coming off an embarrassing loss. They're on a short week too, though. I think
the idea of them not being able to score is accurate because they scored 3 points in perfect conditions in Los Angeles. Okay. And that's a very good defense. I like the Rams better than the Saints, but the Saints is not that far behind and the defensive line's not that far behind the Rams. So that's where I think it's the right side because it could be a 7-3, it could be a 10-3 victory for this.
Well, I think the one thing that I will say is, again, the Saints are essentially built for something where you can't push the ball downfield. That's how their entire offense works. They don't push the ball downfield on a good day. Right. So what difference does it make if they can't do so here? They'll find, Peyton's going to find creative ways to get Kamara in space, or they'll do something with, whether
Taysom
or not
Hill's got to stop, man. This Taysom.
Oh, yeah, you're going to see a lot of Taysom Hill in this game, though. That's the thing.
Absolutely.
That is going to be obnoxious, but you are going to see it.
But they're going to design plays and design runs, and they're going to try to take advantage of Khalil Mack getting up the field, and all the things that you think of what they're going to try to do, they're going to do. Yep. I think it's in the maybe category.
That's fine. That's fine.
It's
I'll
possible.
Put it in the maybe category.
It's definitely possible.
All right, go to your next one.
My next one is, and I'm going to kind of hold my nose here because I hate the number, but I'm going to take Seattle laying 3.5 here. And I think Seattle, I don't love this Seattle team at the moment. I'm a little concerned about Seattle just because of their defense. But San Francisco is not as good as the Patriots made them look, okay? That was just an awful performance for the Patriots. But, I look at Seattle's offense. I look at DK Metcalf. I look at the way that Russell Wilson's playing. I just think that they're a more talented team than San Francisco. Jimmy Garoppolo is, he should have thrown at least 2 interceptions in that game against the Patriots, and the balls were just straight up dropped or not played properly by the Patriots defense. Stephon Gilmore, I don't know what's going on with him. I think the trade talks are really bothering him, and he's just not mentally sharp right now, and that's a big concern. But to me, I'm only going to lay 3.5 points against San Francisco. I'm taking Seattle.
All right, this is another game that I don't have a great lean on to the extent I go one way or the other. It is with the Seahawks, and the reason is with Deebo Samuel is out for this game. Okay, so it's going to be George Kittle, and the Seahawks aren't terrible against tight ends. But Kittle's not. You can't consider Kittle like a normal tight end. The Seahawks are generally not good against the pass. They can stop the run though. And who's going to be running for the ball for the 49ers? I don't really know. I guess JaMychal Hasty, and is Jerick McKinnon actually going to get any carries? I don't really know. The Seahawks, meanwhile, can put up points on anyone. And the 49ers defense is not what we thought it would be coming into the season with all the injuries. So I don't hate it. I don't love a divisional game, and I don't love that. I feel like, Matt, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you and I have not had a good read on the 49ers for the most part. The one game that we had them in was it they were getting 3.5 from the Rams, maybe? And
they won that game outright. Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Right.
We had San
Fran.
So
that was the one that we had. I feel like we take them every week. We didn't have them against the Patriots. We didn't have that one, maybe that was the Patriots we didn't have well. But either way, I'm okay with it. I'm not crazy about it. It's a maybe right now. Okay. So there are none where I'm on the other side on this one. So that one, oddly enough, that is the most one-sided game in our bet analyzer, and it is the Seahawks. Now, the Seahawks are only laying 3 in the consensus line, so a little bit different. But that is the one that has the most. By the way, I'm not sure if I gave the numbers for the Saints. 66% of experts have put in picks like the Saints at 4.5. So I'll put that one in the maybe. So we've gone through 5 picks. We've got 2 in. And we've got 3 maybes. And so if these are our 5 picks, we will live with it, which is a great sign already through 5 games. So here's my next pick we'll get to. And you know what, Matt? When I look at this line, I feel like the line should be more. And so the fact that it isn't makes me concerned. And then I look at our bet analyzer, and it is the game that experts are most split on. And that is the Colts laying 2.5 to the Lions. Now, I get that it's in Detroit. I get that we hate the Colts in a lot of ways, but you're basically telling me that the Colts, who are coming off a bye and are getting healthier, Darius Leonard is healthy, he's going to play. Michael Pittman Jr., which this was the target the whole time, is probably going to play. Trey Burton has helped that offense coming in versus a Matt Patricia coach Lions team that's under a field goal. To me, this seems like an obvious spot for the Colts, but that's not what the market is saying. From what I've looked at, the money is not coming in that way. So I must be missing something. Tell me what I'm missing. I
don't know if you're missing anything as much as you're trying to trust bad football teams.
And you think that the Colts are a bad football team?
Right now, yeah.
I don't think so. Their offense isn't impressive. But their defense is legitimate.
Okay, but overall, you got to play both sides, and I think in the division that they're in, they can't just play defense. You got to score, and
that's true.
I just don't think when you look at even in this game. I mean, I think you're gonna have to score in this game. I mean, I think their defense is gonna give up some points. So
I don't know how many points there. I mean, maybe. Well, do you trust? I mean, you have faith in the Lions to? I just
think in terms of games like this, I look at who has the better quarterback. Right? It's better coaches and better quarterbacks. Then the coaching side is probably a wash. But
what is happening? The coaching side on the Colts against the Lions is a wash?
I'm not a Frank Reich guy. I mean, I'm not, and I never have been. I think he's a great offensive mind, but I think he's got a bum quarterback. So I'm not really on that.
Well, to be clear, the quarterback does not impact the coaching. I mean, the coaching is the coaching.
Correct, but the quarterback the coach can't do much with his quarterback. I mean, they have tied themselves to an anvil. I mean, they got to do the can't throw.
You know that if Todd Gurley had managed to fall down an inch earlier, the Lions lose to the Falcons last week, right?
Sure.
Like
that. But the Falcons were able to do, I mean, the Lions were able to do what you're supposed to do when you're given a break, go take advantage of it. So they went right down the field and got a 2-point conversion. So, I mean,
oh, man.
Look, I'm not saying you're wrong about this side. I'm just saying that I don't trust this Colts team to do just about anything right now.
Right.
I missed on them. I thought they were going to be a contender to win the AFC. They're not even a contender to win the division. They're not.
I agree with you there. That they've been to me, it's mostly on Rivers. It's mostly because Rivers looks toast. I agree with that, but I do think that you give him a bye week. I think you're going to see so much Jonathan Taylor in this game. I don't
know if he's any good.
Admittedly, I'm not going to deny that he has not looked great in the first several games.
He looks like a running back who had way too many carries in college, which he did, and he hit the NFL. And he doesn't have that half a second more speed you need to get away from the defenders that you've got, like with a like a Jacobs, right? Didn't get used at all in college, hit the NFL fresh as a daisy, and look what he's doing. I mean, I just think Wisconsin rides and drives their running backs into the ground, and I don't think this guy's got much left in the tank. It's really unfortunate because I love the kid in college, but oof.
I'm not willing to draw that conclusion from, a few games in the pros and the fact that he's whatever.
Dude runs into the line. He can't even read outside reads.
I'm a fantasy man. All right. I've been extremely frustrated in watching him what looks like run directly into his offensive line
and then fall down.
I agree with you. I think there's more to him, and I think that I think he's somebody who probably needs additional. Don't give me Jordan Wilkins or Nyheim Hines anymore, please. Give it to Taylor. Let me see what he can do with 20 carries as he gets warmed up and he beats down the defense a little bit. But that's fine. It's okay. And again, you are not on the island. I am on the island, okay. And I'm like planting my flag on this island, and I am willing to basically call it the Dan Harris Island, and that is it because I am taking the Colts, and I feel completely fine about it, and I appear to be the only one, so that's fine. We'll move that one off that one because you don't like that game as much as you say would like the Saints. If you had to pick between the two, the Saints laying 4.5, right?
Yeah.
You would rather that one?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll put the Colts away. Go to your next game if you have any left that you like.
Just one more.
Okay.
And this is the biggest 2020 play of all, okay? Mm-hmm. In any other season, I would never, and I mean capital N, never pick this game. But I'm going to lay 19.5 points and take the KC Chiefs at home against the Jets.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
And here's why, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The weather's going to be awful, okay? It's got the potential. Right now, it's leaning towards that orange-yellow category. Mm-hmm. It may be okay by game time. We'll see. But it's still going to be late October, early November at Arrowhead Stadium. It's not really a great place to go and play. It's cold. But you've got a team in the Jets that are just done. That was their game last week. They had a chance to play the Bills. They had a chance to potentially win that game against the Bills, and they didn't do it. They are deflated. They are demoralized, and I think the Chiefs are going to run the ball down their throat, and I just think they're going to put up 30, 35 points and win this thing 35-3.
Okay. So that is the side I am on as well, somehow.
It was 21 when it opened. It was bet down because the numbers for 20-point favorites since 1988, teams that have been favored by 20 points or more are, I believe, 1-8 against the spread. Yep. So this is 19.5. This is not 20. So It's below that 20-point threshold.
So I worry slightly maybe about the last minute cover.
Of course,
basically pull absolutely. Everybody. Of course. But I do like it because the Jets are not going to be able to stop the Chiefs. Under any part of their game, Le'Veon Bell is going to score at least one, if not two touchdowns in a revenge game. And the Jets can't put up real points on anybody. So for me, I really don't dislike this game. And there's one additional reason why I kind of like it in this contest, Matt. It's because I don't think it's going to be heavily picked. I think people are going to take the points with the Jets. If you look at the way it's broken down, the value plays, now that we've gotten into it a little bit, the most heavily picked side are often the value plays that I've seen. Sometimes you're like, wow, that's a really public play. That seems to be what it's doing. In the beginning, especially lately, I feel like the people who are in this contest, or at least the people who are doing well in the contest, are taking the value plays. So I think it's a little contrarian here to do it, which is why I actually like it for the contest. So I mean, I don't know if we could put it in. We could just put it in.
Sure.
It's okay with me. All right, whatever. Yeah, let's just put it in. Chiefs laying 19.5 to the Jets. Man, where are we? 2020. Okay.
Right. I mean, any other year, there's no way I would lay the Jets every single time, blindly bet it. You give me 19 points, 20 points, I'm betting the dog every single time. But this is just a very unique set of circumstances. And you brought up a great point. The Le'Veon Bell revenge bleep you factor is high in this game.
What's the prop? We are going to look up the prop on Le'Veon Bell scores a touchdown. And we are going to tell people to bet.
Yeah, it might be like minus 120. I mean, I'm serious. True. It might not even be like plus money on it. Normally it's like plus 400 for an individual touchdown. It's probably like you have to lay juice. You have to lay down juice to bet Le'Veon Bell because they're going to force feed him that football every time in the red zone.
70% of experts are on the Chiefs, laying 19.5 and bet at $1. So that's crazy. Okay, so that's it for your game. So look, we'll put in the Raiders getting 2.5 from the Browns.
Okay.
The Ravens laying 3.5 points to the Steelers.
Okay.
And the gross Chiefs laying 19.5 points to the Jets. So those are our 3 that we'll put in. That's fine. And you're done with the games that you like,
Yeah,
right?
that's it for me.
Okay. So I don't love any of these remaining games. I'm going to throw them out and let's talk through them and see if we like any others. Other than that, we've got 3 that are right now on the table that we don't hate. So we're going to have picks this week. We'll be okay. How do you feel about the Eagles laying 7.5 to the Ben DiNucci-led Cowboys in Philadelphia?
I hate the hook.
Yeah.
If it was 7, I would say yes, but I don't like the 7.5. I just feel like that's a little bit too heavy. And I mean, look, the Cowboys offense, I don't know what he didn't look good. When he came in for Andy Dalton, he didn't look good. Yeah. So
now he's got a week to prepare
to get better.
It's a little different. And the offensive line is healthier, so that will help. But I can't have faith in Ben DiNucci. I don't love the game at all, so I don't think I like it more than the rest of our games. If I lean one way, even with the hook, I still like the Eagles. But
if we're going primetime games, I would prefer the Bucs laying 10.5.
I don't hate that game either, by the way. There's the COVID concerns right now with their offensive line going on. So that's fine. Interesting. The consensus line is up to 8.5 for this Eagles game. And still our experts, 76%, are picking the Eagles. But I don't,
That's going to crash come game day, by the way, because Dallas Cowboys money will come in like crazy. You might be able to get that at 7. Closer to game time, the Cowboys fans would just bet that like nuts.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm fine with that game. I don't have a particular preference for it over any of the other games we talked about. How do you feel about the Chargers laying 3.5 to the Broncos in Denver?
I hate it in Denver because historically the Chargers don't play well there. Yep. And with Denver, you're always worried about those freak snowstorms popping up and changing things like it happened last week. Herbert's not really a guy that I'm going to trust I don't think he's fine in the cold in the rain, but in the snow, I don't know if he's ever played a snow game before. So I'm a little concerned about him there. And look, they have to pass the football. They got to throw. Keenan Allen was outstanding last week for them. He was good. He was huge. So they're going to have to throw the ball. So I'm a little concerned about the weather. If I had to pick it, I would say the Chargers, but historically speaking, I'm a little concerned about them on the road at Denver.
That's how I feel too. The side that I lean is the Chargers, but I don't love it. Like I'll probably, take them. The consensus line is actually down to 3, so I'll definitely take them. Drew Lock, I don't trust Drew Lock. He's not good under pressure. They're going to get a lot of pressure as they've gotten healthier. They've gotten Ingram back on that line. So I do think that the Chargers are ultimately going to come away with it, but I really don't like taking road teams in Denver. It's just like a natural thing because it's an environment that I just never feel comfortable in. So that's fine. Let's go to, how do you feel about this one? Because I feel like the quote unquote sharp side is with the Vikings, but I kind of like the Packers laying 6.5 to the Vikings in Green Bay.
I believe this is the worst weather game of the weekend, is it not?
Yeah, this is one where weather's going to factor in, yes.
I think it's going to be bitterly cold and really, really nasty. Yeah. So, I mean, this is a dome team on the road. I can't get behind anybody but Green Bay here.
I like Green Bay. That's what I'm saying. The other, the generally, and look, they're probably going to be down Aaron Jones here. He hasn't practiced, but you saw Jamal Williams.
Yeah, he was great.
They had no problem with Jamal. And Alan Lazard, by the way, is suddenly practicing. I didn't even realize that he had a chance. I don't know if he has a chance to play this week or anything, but if he does, that obviously helps. I just think that you could see, because I believe that the Packers, one of the reasons why I'm a little hesitant on it is I think the Packers have a Thursday night game following against San Francisco. That could certainly be something where they could be looking ahead. Where even though it's the Vikings are a terrible football team right now. There's all this talk of selling. I could see the Packers basically coming up with a short week, kind of not focusing on it as much and letting the Vikings hang around a little bit. And I could see if Dalvin Cook is fully healthy, the Vikings having a lot of, because Green Bay really can't stop the run, having a lot of success, keeping it close, running the ball. That I could see it. But overall, the Vikings, man, their defense is horrific right now. Rodgers is playing really well. I would take the Packers, although they're off a bye, and Zimmer usually has them playing well off a bye.
So here's the weather. It's a high of 38. The number that everybody, if you're new to sports gambling, the number you have to look at are sustained winds at 25 miles per hour or higher. Okay, that's the number, not gusts. Don't worry about gusts as much. You want sustained winds. These are sustained winds for 25 to 35 miles per hour with occasional wind gusts between 40 and 45 miles per hour. Okay, that is a significant weather game for the Green Bay Packers, and it screams under. Okay, screaming under for Green Bay, Minnesota. I would never bet the Vikings. I would never bet Kirk Cousins in a weather game at Green Bay.
Never.
So
I
will take.
And that's what I'm saying. If there's any side that we would take here, it would be the Packers. But that the weather also makes me a little it's a variable. You don't know what it's going to do necessarily to the game. So if you came in and you like the Packers were one of your pick, I would write it in. But if it's something where it's kind of like
put it in the maybe category. I mean, I'm because of the weather. I do think the Vikings are going to struggle to score in that game.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Okay. That is good. All right, let's finish up with the rest of the slate just so we could talk it out. Yep. Oh, boy, this is probably your nightmare. How do you feel about the Bills laying 3.5 to the Patriots in Buffalo?
So I'm probably going to bet the Patriots, and the reason is the weather, which is going to be this is one of the games where it's going to be windy and wet. Yep. So it's not just going to be cold. It's not just going to be windy. It's going to be wet, windy, and cold. So that leans towards a Patriot game because the Bills are not built for this type of weather anymore. Okay, they are an offense that has to throw the ball down the field. They have become a warm weather team playing in Buffalo, New York, which is really kind of a strange decision. But I mean, Diggs isn't bad, but Diggs he played indoors with the Vikings. He didn't play outdoors, so he has experience, but not as much as you would think coming over from Minnesota. This is, Allen played at Wyoming, but he hasn't looked good in weather. So it's kind of weird. It's like, didn't you play your football at Wyoming? But he hasn't looked great. The Patriots are going to run the ball. Their offensive line is healthy. I think they lose the game by 3. I like the hook there. Patriots lose to the Bills by 3 and win it and cover that 3.5 point spread.
Yeah, this is a game I have absolutely no desire to bet
on
either side. I mean, we're talking it through.
Because the Edelman news is gigantic, and I don't know how the team's going to react to Edelman being out for at least a couple of weeks.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Edelman maybe at all for the rest of the season.
It wouldn't shock me. I mean, I think the Patriots may shut him down and just say, why play him this year? Because this year's a wash. So let's just get ready for next year.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. But again, I'm at the point where I don't trust the Bills right now. I mean, congratulations, Matt. You have won. Or really their
I
play
told you
has
that.
won.
No. I mean, they came back down to earth with a big old
I
thud.
had to watch that game closely last week because it was against the Jets, and my daughter likes the Bills because she likes animals, and they're from Buffalo.
Okay.
So she likes the Bills. And so we were all rooting for the Bills because I'm rooting for the Jets to lose at this point to go on 16. And I was like, screaming. I was like, what are you doing right now? Why,
That was the weirdest teaser sweat I've had in a long time.
You were messaging.
I'll tell you that. That is of all the games I've teased in my life, that was really weird to have Bills -4 and to sweat that thing the way they had to sweat that thing out. That was just ridiculous, watching that bad of football being played and being concerned about not winning my bet.
Yeah. Well, the consensus generally is going with Buffalo, which the consensus line is -4, but it's not a game that I want at this point at all. Last game that we haven't talked about, which you briefly mentioned, is the Bucs laying 10.5 to the Giants. I think we're both on the same side, which is if we're forced to pick a side, we'd go with the Bucs.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I don't hate it. I mean, I'm not even forced. I think the Bucs are going to win that game and just name the number to me. So it just depends upon what the Giants are going to give up because the Giants aren't going to score much.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it matters the fact really that Godwin is out because I think the Bucs are going to be able to do whatever they want. There's no Brown, so it's really just Evans who, looks gimpy. But it doesn't really matter at that point.
Do you think Mike Evans gets traded?
No, I don't. I think they ride it out. I think that
so if that happens, who punches who first? Brown punches him first, or Evans punches him first?
No, I think it's going to be a mutual one where they're both going to do it at exact. It's going to be like Rocky 3, the ending 3. Of Rocky 3, right?
Simultaneous.
The exact punch.
I'll buy that because Antonio Brown's going to take every single touch that Mike Evans is supposed to have.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Mike Evans hasn't gotten that many touches in games
because he can't run routes.
Anyway,
he can't run routes.
Well,
it's just Brady won't throw to you if you're not going to run the route that Brady wants you to. He's not throwing it to you, and that's we've seen. This. We've seen so many receivers come to New England and get frozen out, and you're like, why?
Yeah.
And it's Brady, and if you don't do it the way Brady wants, he goes to Gronk every darn time.
Yep.
And so
you are right. And Gronk, by the way, looking much better these last.
That's how he should have looked the whole time. I mean, they weren't using him properly. Yeah. Now they finally are.
All right, so let's talk it out. We've got 3 in pen.
Yep.
The Raiders getting 2.5 from the Browns. The Ravens laying 3.5 to the Steelers. The Chiefs laying 19.5 points to the Jets. Wow, welcome to 2020. And so here are the games that are under consideration.
Okay.
The ones, we've got 2 that you like and two that I kind of like. So maybe we'll go 1-1 there.
Okay.
You like the Seahawks laying 3.5 to the 49ers and the Rams laying 4.5 to the Dolphins. Now, the Rams laying 4.5 to the Dolphins is one of your top picks, right?
Yep.
So that my guess is that's the one you want.
If you tell me to pick of that group, it would be the Rams. Yes.
All right. So let's keep going with my two first. I like the Saints laying 4.5 to the Bears and the Packers laying 6.5 to the Vikings. So I like both of those games pretty evenly. I'm good to pick one of yours and one of mine if you're good with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind taking both of yours actually, just because it's under 7. The weather comes in and is a factor. We're fading the Vikings.
Yep.
I mean, if I'm, as we're talking this out, if I'm going to stack the games, I probably would stack your 2 above my Rams.
Okay.
In terms of in the contest, we're kind of trying to eliminate, like you mentioned, variables.
Yep.
And the Tua thing is, if I'm wrong about Tua and he sets the world on fire, I'm done. The bet's done.
Yeah.
So I feel more confident saying that the Packers at home with Aaron Rodgers with a crap weather game will win and win handily over the Vikings than I am about taking on a quarterback who I have no idea what he'll look like. Really, I'm banking on him sucking, but if he doesn't, I'm in trouble.
What I like about these also is that I really think there are going to be a few games that we're not on the main side on. Like, I think the majority of people are going to take the Vikings because that seems to be the sharp side. There's no way I'm doing it. But from everything I'm sort of looking at and the way the money's coming in right now, it's been on the Vikings. I don't get it. I don't think that the Chiefs are going to be heavily picked. I think that people are going to take the points with the Jets. I think people are going to like the Steelers in this game, getting 3.5, given where they are. So I think we've got good ones. Okay, so that's it. So our last two then will be the Saints laying 4.5 to the Browns and the Packers laying 6.5 to the Vikings.
No, Saints to the Bears, you mean?
To the Bears. What did I say? The Browns?
Browns, yeah.
Yes, I should read my own writing better. I'm so sorry. We are taking the Raiders getting 2.5.
Yeah, the only games I'd stand on tables for are the Raiders and the Ravens. Those are games I'm betting. Those are games that I'm putting money behind, and I like them the most. I'm going to bet the Rams game as well, but I'm not as standing on the table as I am about the Raiders and the Baltimore Ravens. I feel strong about those two plays.
I think in the end you're probably right about the Rams, but I'd rather sit back and see what's going to happen now. Right?
That's fair. I agree.
All right, so those are our 5 picks. I feel okay about these, Matt. It's going to be fun to be rooting just for the Jets. God help me if the Jets miraculously something were to happen and they won this game.
Oh,
could you imagine? Like, it would legitimately be my nightmare because all I need them to do is lose out, and then I'm taking them.
And then everybody who has the Chiefs left over in the survivor pools are done.
Oh my God, that is right.
Because if you have the Chiefs on the board still, this is the game you're playing the Chiefs on.
I'm just trying to find the Chiefs are minus 2,500 on the money line.
Yep.
So that sounds about right. I just wanted to see what it is, but you could go Jets plus 12, whatever. All right, so good picks. As always, follow me on Twitter at DanHarris80 and Matt at Sports Talk Matt. If we make any changes, which we really are going to try not to do unless some big news happens, because we find that the original bets are almost always better than anything we change them to. I will let you know on Twitter. Again, go subscribe and listen to the Daily Juice podcast, my favorite podcast, which you can find on bettingpros.com/dailyjuice or anywhere you listen to podcasts, bettingpros.com/ youtube.com/bettingpros. Always mix it up. You can see Matt's live stream Sunday mornings, 11 to 12 on at Eastern Standard Time. And go to bettingpros.com/chat. Join our Discord. Talk to me, talk to Matt, talk to everybody else who loves sports betting. In the meantime, good luck with your bets this weekend, and we will talk to you next week.